So, the urban legend associated with Andrew Hellman is that he brutally murdered his wife and his children with an axe, and he's buried in this cemetery. It is said that his headstone glows an eerie green hue, and if you come and visit the road, he'll come and kill you with an axe. I can assure you Andrew Hellman is not buried here in this cemetery, but 2 of his children, Louisa, John, and his wife Mary, are. And that's what we're here to talk about today, because the true story behind Andrew Hellman is much more terrifying than the urban legend. I keep hearing weird things in the woods back there. Probably just birds. Anyway, in 1817, Andrew Hellman came to the United States from Germany. He eventually ended up boarding in the farmhouse of George Abel in Virginia in around 1820, and he started to court Mr. Abel's daughter, Mary. Mary and Andrew were married in December of 1821. In August of 1822, their first child, a daughter, Louisa, was born. A son named Henry was their second child, and in 1827, a third child, John. Now, it said that Hellman had a disposition of believing that women needed to stay in their place in the home. And he actually accused Mary of infidelity, and that the 2 sons were not actually his biological sons. It is said that after John was born, Hellman told Mary if she ever had another child, he would kill her. George Abel, Mary's father, at some point, sold a portion of his farm in Virginia and bought plots of land for his children in Ohio, in Carroll County. They lived in Carroll County for about 5 years, during which Andrew became a pretty successful farmer, and he owned 2 farms. In 1836, he sold the farms and moved to Logan County, where Mary's brother lived. Mary's brother is also named George. In April of 1839, all 3 of the children were suddenly sick, and within 48 hours, Louisa and John were dead. Mary had believed that Andrew had poisoned them, but there was no way to prove that Andrew did it, and he vigorously denied doing it. In September of around 1839, Mary's brother George was unwell, so she sent Henry, who had survived, to help out with his uncle's farm work. 2 days later, George's wife Rachel went to see her sister-in-law, and when she entered the door, she saw Andrew Hellman lying in bed in the front room with his head, face, and clothing completely covered in blood. Probably just birds. He told her that 2 nights earlier, 2 robbers had entered the house and beat him unconscious with a club. When he came to, he was lying on the bed, suffering in too much pain to see how Mary was. Rachel asked, "Where is Mary?" and Andrew said that he didn't know and told her to look in the back room. There she found Mary's mangled corpse lying in a pool of blood, with blood splattered all over the walls and the ceiling. And even though Hellman himself was covered in blood, it came to fruition that he didn't have a scratch on him. He was immediately arrested for the murder of his wife Mary. Around November of 1840, before justice was served, Hellman somehow escaped his jail cell. A reward was offered for his capture, but he was never found until 1843. Hellman had somehow ended up in Baltimore and had taken the alias Adam Horn. He had married a young woman named Matilda who was much younger than him at the time. Catherine, Matilda's sister, went looking for her sister one day. She went to the house. Horn, or Hellman, told Catherine that Matilda left the house late one night, 2 weeks earlier, wearing just her night clothes. Supposedly it had snowed heavily the night, and she had gone out. She would not have gotten far. They sent on a search party for her, but nobody found any trace of her. In a ditch a quarter-mile from Horn's house, or Hellman, a coffee sack was found under 2 feet of ground. Inside it was the trunk of a young woman. Assuming it was the body of her sister, Catherine and the party went back to search around the house. Inside a building attached to the house, they found another coffee bag. This one contained the arms and legs that had been severed from the trunk of the body. The head was never found. There's other stories that say the head was found in a furnace where he had tried to burn it, but I don't know that there's any truth to that. Catherine was able to identify her sister's foot. They notified the police and they arrested Adam Horn for her murder, but Horn was nowhere to be found. When the police circulated Horn's description, bald, German, about 50 years old, speaks broken English, authorities in Ohio noted the similarity of that to Andrew Hellman, even down to details such as the third finger of the right hand was crooked. Horn was arrested in Philadelphia and extradited back to Maryland. Sheriff Slicer of Logan County, Ohio, went to Baltimore soon after to get a look at the prisoner. When Sheriff Slicer went into the jail, Hellman, alias Horn, recognized him immediately and greeted the sheriff as an old friend. Sheriff Slicer was carrying a requisition from the governor of Ohio to the governor of Maryland requesting the delivery of the prisoner to Ohio to stand trial for the murder of his wife, Mary. Governor Thomas of Maryland denied the request, saying he must first stand a trial in Maryland, and if he escaped conviction in Maryland, he would hand him over to Ohio. Ohio never got the opportunity to try Hellman Horn. In November of 1843, he was found guilty of first-degree murder of Matilda, and the following January, his hanging in the yard of the Baltimore jail was witnessed by an estimated 10,000 spectators. With that being said, the dates may not be exact, because back then the record-keeping wasn't the greatest, but Hellman went to his grave denying that he ever hurt his children or his first wife, but supposedly confessed to the murder of his second wife. Henry Hellman, the only surviving son, lived on until 1894, when he passed away at the age of 70. Now that I told the story, here is Louisa's resting place. Here's John's resting place. And unfortunately, over the years, Mary's stone has been broken and is pretty much not legible at this point. You can kind of see the words on there, but I think that's upside down. Yeah, there we go. It's hard to tell. Put that back. Like I said, Hellman is not buried in this cemetery. There is a headstone up in this direction somewhere that is an Andrew Hellman, but the dates are from the 1900s, and it's not him. They don't match up. Mary, Louisa, John, are any of you here? are here, I know you think it's probably kind of weird that people come here to talk to you. I myself find it a bit strange that people come to these places to talk to spirits. But we don't know the answers, so that's why we're here to try to find them. Would your spirit come back to a place that is the final resting place of your physical body? I'm sure you can see all these weird little contraptions that I sat all around on the ground and on this chair here. None of them will hurt you. But if you touch any of them, you might be able to communicate with one another. There's a black colored little box over here by Mary's grave. And then I've sat an orange and sort of clear little box-shaped looking device here by Louisa's grave. Could any of you touch either one of those devices? Or maybe come up to the chair here that's sitting in front of me and either talk into this blue device here or this little black device here. If Mary, Louisa, or John are not here, is there anyone else here? If you are here, I'm sure that you probably think that it's really, really weird of all these little crazy devices that have what we call lights on them. If you are here and you are stuck in your own time period per se, then you're not going to know what lights are. But they're these little things that are kind of glowing like a candle would glow. And like I said, none of this stuff's going to hurt you. You can touch anything here and it's not going to hurt you that I know of. Does anybody else here want to touch any of the devices? Saw the dial on the detector on the left move. Did you touch that detector on the left-hand side there by Louisa's grave? anybody touch any of the devices? Can anybody try to speak to me? I might not be able to hear you right now with my ears, but it is possible that one of these little machines will pick up your voice. Is anyone at all here? Anyone in this whole graveyard? Besides the birds. It is very quiet here. Like I've said many times, I'm not sure why you do move on and become a spirit, walk the plane in some way, why you would come back to your physical body, but I guess that's because we don't understand death. And if there is someone here, it doesn't look like they want to talk to me. hear that crunching back there in the woods, but I'm sure it's just a bird because you would blatantly hear footsteps because of all the leaves and sticks that are on the ground. There's a little tiny bird right there. It's so cute. What kind of bird is that? It's making that tiny little tick noise. All those squeaks are just birds. There's lots of birds. I am glad that it looks like, because the last time I was here, and I see one over there, and it's way too big for me to lift up or I would. The last time I was here, somebody had come and severely vandalized this cemetery, and I was heartbroken, because that's so disrespectful. But it looks like somebody has come and tried to at least sit some of the monuments back up, or place them at least in the general vicinity of which they were, because some of them are just like Mary's. Mary's has been broken for a long time, but there's some throughout the cemetery here that weren't broken before, and then the last time I was here, I came, it was just devastating. But it looks like somebody's come and cleaned it up, which is awesome, so thank you to whoever did that. Since it doesn't seem like there's a lot going on here, I do want to show you guys what I thought was a little weird. When I was walking in here, I noticed that only right here in this little section are all these little white flowers on the ground. And for some reason, it's only here in this little area. There's just these little tiny white flowers. There's a whole bunch of them right here. And these stones are so worn. I think it's on the other side. Yep. January. Man, that's hard to read. I can probably see it better on camera when I look at the video, but I do see April 20th of 1838, I think that says. This one's very hard to read. But yeah, all these little flowers. But they're only just right here. There's a little patch there. There's some here. And just a few right here. And that's it. They're nowhere else. This one's really hard to read too. Definitely says 18 something. Might have to come one day and see if we can clean some of these up. Some of them are super old. And I'm sure even if you clean those up, the wording is just gone from them because of the age and time and the type of material they're on. That looks like at one point it had a really cool carving on it. It's hard to see now though. I doubt that's a gift, but I'm going to leave it there in case it was. Alright, Hellman family. One last time. Louisa, John, Mary, or any of you here, I'll tell you one thing. If you come here at night, it is pitch black here. There are no lights anywhere. And as you can see, it's completely surrounded by trees. The Hellman family graves are backed right up against the tree line here. There is a house down on the other side of that hill. But other than that, this place is surrounded by cornfields, bean fields. And I don't think the Hellman family is here. If they're here, they don't want to talk. Or they're sick of talking because people come here all the time. Or it's just a story of your spirit goes wherever you want, and that's that.